You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It is your host, Brian Fullerton, here hanging with you guys, and we are super excited about bringing you guys another guest interview. We've had a bunch of solo shows, but we've had a bunch of guests on the roster here through July and August, and you know what? We're going to keep up with that excitement and keep up with that energy. We're interviewing a bunch of you guys that I finally have had time to connect ever since I got over my little head cold and flu over here. But nonetheless, we've got none other than Andrew Golderman over here from Davenport, Iowa. So Andrew, welcome to the show, brother. How you doing today?
I'm doing very good. Thank you for having me on today, Brian.
Absolutely, man. Well, thanks for being flexible here too. We've been trying to lock this down for a week or two and messaging back and forth on Instagram. If you guys have a great story to tell, shoot me a message, reach out to me, say hey, and give me a paragraph or two of your story, and we'll see if it makes sense to get you on the show. And there's no real super qualifications other than if you got a mower and a dream, man, we'll get you on. I want to hear your story. So, Andrew, let's go to you, my friend. Really quick, just to slow things down. You're how old are you, by the way?
So I'm 18 years old.
18 years old, and rock and roll with a lawn and landscaping business of your own, man. What's your? Give me the quick highlights and the stats. What does your company look like, and what do you guys got going on day to day?
Absolutely. So I started it back in 2018, and we've been running about 4 years now. And I'm the owner, Andrew, and I'm up to about 5-6 guys working for me now today. And I started out with my dad's help a little bit. He had a riding mower that I'd use.
Okay.
And I ended up buying a trailer, and he let me use a truck during high school, and then I have to get my own truck after high school when I move on.
Okay.
So he helped me out a ton there, and started out with probably, 3-5 yards starting out the first year, 4 years ago. And since then, this has blown up, and year 2, I ended up using the rider as well, and then paid off that trailer. And then year 3, I bought the Titan, and buying that mower taught me a ton about business and about life, because in my head, I was thinking it's either sink or swim. I either get the amount of clients to be profitable and to be able to pay this off at such a young age, or it's nothing, right? So that taught me a ton about life and about work ethic right there. And honestly, having to make those payments and having my own skin in the game made everything so much more it made it so much more
real.
So yeah, exactly. A lot more real, and it made it seem like I had my own skin in the game and I had something to work for.
That's awesome. That's awesome. How many clients are you guys mowing right now weekly with you and a couple the guys that you have working for you?
Totally. So we're mowing anywhere from about 50 to 55 clients a week, and we're bringing about $2,400 gross weekly just on the lawn care side of things. And after I pay out in labor and everything, so I pay the guys $17 an hour since we're all in high school. So it's kind of hard for me to get full-time guys because I don't offer benefits or snow removal, right?
Okay, sure.
So all of us are all in school, and on my end, I do about $1,900 net just from the lawn mowing, and that doesn't include cleanups or mulching or the aerations in the fall or the spring.
Dude, that's awesome. Good for you, man. Pulling in $1,900 a week net profit for a 17, 18, 19-year-old kid, in Iowa, dude. You're like the big man on campus. You know what I'm saying? So,
totally.
Are you guys like the high school hustlers where everybody's like, hey, man, if you want some summer cash, go work with Andrew and the rest of his posse?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So
that's awesome.
But it's gotten a little bit more official the last couple of years. So this year I just formed an LLC, and I've gotten workers' comp, and that's fun stuff. So I'm starting to transition over to that more legitimate side of the business.
Sure.
Because when I first started out, I had shirts, I had hats, whatever, but it was more so the kid with the lawnmower that would show up and cut your yard for, the $25 cut guy. Okay. But since then it's grown, and I've realized those clients that I've had, like starting out a long time ago, it's harder to move them up in like the price range of stuff. Like once I'm becoming more and more legit and I have more overhead and more expenses, it's been harder to move those clients up that have been the lower price range up to the higher price range, which I need to be at, right? To be at a profitable business.
Yeah. That's man, I'll tell you what, that is, I feel like almost everybody's life story, probably listening to the podcast. And I can totally relate with that. I had, just 4 or 5 years ago, my business was on life support, and I found YouTube and the lawn care community, we kind of call it. And, my eyes were opened up a little bit, and I'm just realizing oh no, man, I've got some work to do. My business the pricing wasn't where it needed to be. The type of customers we had weren't where they needed to be. And, that's really tough when you have 120 clients a week that you're realizing that you're the lowball bummy guy, And so I can totally relate. And you know what? Even if you're 30, with 100 clients, or you're 16 or 17 and realizing, man, I've kind of undercut my lawns by $5 or $10, maybe because you're younger and you don't know what you don't know or whatever, right? That's a tough feeling. Let's do this really quick. I want to hear from today's show sponsors and announcements. We gotta pay the bills around here, Andrew. But I want to hear a little bit more about your startup story, and then even what you guys are doing now to get some better pricing for these customers. Because, like you said, you're starting to realize that you're going to have overhead, and you want to be profitable. You're hiring guys now, and they, payroll costs money, obviously. So I want to hear what you're doing now to kind of steer the ship to have a more profitable company, and some of those lessons that you've learned along the way those last few years, because I think that would be helpful for anybody listening into the show. So let's do this really quick. We're going to hang tight. We're going to hear from today's show sponsors and announcements, and then we're going to come right on back.
Summer showers, dust that chokes, acres that just won't end. Exmark knows the job of a landscape professional isn't an easy one. That's why we've crafted a legendary line of mowers built to overcome any obstacle. So you're ready to close the deal and finish the job, like you always do. Cut from the same red metal as your Exmark mower, you aren't just good at this. You were built for this.
All right, guys. Well, let's jump right back into it. Always appreciate Mr. Producer bringing us all the show sponsors and announcements. And again, all the companies that support the show, we super appreciate them. And that is what allows us to bring the content to you guys on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. By the way, if you guys are new to the show, our podcast, it's all about lawns, lessons, life, and helping you guys grow a more successful lawn and landscaping business so you guys can go out there and crush it. So if you guys are a regular listener to the show, thank you guys so much for coming back. If you guys are a new listener to the show, hey, welcome to the jungle. Hope you guys get some good valuable content here, and can help you guys grow a more successful business, and keep you maybe entertained, maybe while you guys are at the gym or mowing your lawn or whatever you guys are doing today. So Andrew, let's go back to you, my friend. So let me take a few years back. Your startup story is not super long ago, 15, 16, 17 years old. What made you get started cutting grass and bringing in some green grass-stained money on the side, man?
Absolutely. So when I was younger, I actually wanted to buy a gaming computer starting out, and that's all I really wanted. So
yeah.
1 yard could have paid for that. And I never actually even bought the computer.
Oh, no way. Funny.
Yeah, so I, to this day, still haven't even bought it. And I probably never will because I grew out of that, right?
Okay.
But
Yep.
ever since then, the business just kind of took off, and I got one neighbor, and then I got the next neighbor, and then I actually started watching your YouTube videos about marketing, and that stuff just really started to intrigue me.
Cool.
And our neighbor is actually a realtor, so she hooked me up with an HOA up the street. And I'm not going to name the HOA, but I actually started mowing there, and then I started to learn that, okay, I can grow the business if I start doing other work besides lawn mowing at those places that I already service, right? So I can start offering hedge trimming. I can start offering aerations, mulching, stuff like that. And then it slowly began to grow after that point on from there. Man,
that's awesome. That's awesome. By the way, what gaming computer was, what's the cool one back in the day? Like, what were you trying to get? Like Alienware or something? That's the last ones I remember.
Yeah. So actually I was going to build one. So I was looking at getting a CPU, a motherboard, everything.
Yeah.
And building it from scratch, which was pretty cool.
Dude, that's awesome.
So I was just going to build that one on PC Part Pick or whatever on it's a website. And I put it all together, and I was like, all right, I'm going to pay for this, right? And I actually never ended up doing that, and I just keep reinvesting my money back into my business, which has paid off significantly now today.
Dude, that's awesome. Well, now
I'm
you
not stopping now.
Well, I was going to say now you can buy all the cooler things and still buy a computer if you need to with playing the long game and delayed gratification.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny you say that because I used to be a big computer guy, gamer and nerd and all that stuff. I was playing my StarCraft 2 back in the day, guys. If you any of you old farts can remember StarCraft and StarCraft 2, and I always had the slummy system and the crappy computer, and I was a big nerd, and same thing. Like, I wanted to get the cool system and all that other mess, and I don't know, I just kind of grew out of it quicker than my money caught up with it. But I'll tell you what, 2 years ago, Foreman Rob, that you guys watch and know on YouTube, my right-hand guy, I actually gifted him. Long story short, he wanted this system. He was working really hard for it. His first year working for me, and I threw him $1,500 to buy his dream system. And he plays a lot of computer games and stuff online. And so, it's motivation, man. Like, whatever gets you out the door to start making some money.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
That's awesome.
And then from that point on, I ended up, speaking of buying employee stuff, I actually bought one of my guys a pair of AirPods because I discovered that if I put it on a phone call, a group call, we could all talk to each other while doing the yard, even with the noise.
Oh, really? Okay.
The mowers going. So it's a little bit tough to hear each other, but it's enough to where I could be like, go hit this spot, right? And we also started getting hand signs. I watched your video on hand signs and stuff. So we have a hand sign for trimming, and we have a hand sign for blowing, and then that's about it. And that's all you really need.
Yeah.
But it's gone a long way because I've realized this last year that employees, investing in good employees is like, it's hard to get. It's hard to get good people nowadays, especially in the economy that we are in. Unfortunately. But especially with the next couple of years coming up, I want to grow, right? And I need those people in place the next couple of years in order for me to do so. So
what are you finding is helping you attract young guys and also keep the young guys? Obviously, you got a good labor pool with your friends and buddies at high school, and then older brothers and younger brothers or even sisters nowadays. A lot of gals are working in the industry. What's some things that you're doing to attract some of these young guys to work for you?
Totally. So basically, everyone at school knows I have a lawn care company. Even the principal. So it's like a 1,500 person school. It's huge.
Yeah.
And he would let me park my truck and trailer at school. I'd block, I'm not kidding, 4 parking spots. And
that's awesome.
With a 16 or I believe it's an 18-foot trailer, 16 or 18, one of those two. I fit 2 zero turns on there and park it in the trailer, so on the parking lot. So everybody on campus knew me and knew I was the lawn care kid making money on mowing yards. So
dude, that's
honestly,
awesome.
From that point, I would have people coming to me.
Yep.
But I'm discovering as I get out of high school and I'm transitioning, I am going to St. Ambrose University next year, which is here in Davenport, Iowa. And I will be doing that plus work. And I'm discovering that my labor pool is shrinking significantly. And I'm actually going to have to start interviewing and start putting out ads for workers and stuff like that further out. And that's a little scary, but I mean, it's just part of the game.
Yep. Man, that's awesome. So you're attracting a bunch of young guys with you, and that really helps chip away at the workload. So what you said right now, you guys are mowing about 50 lawns a week, 4 or 5 guys working with you. Is that 4 or 5 full days of mowing, or 2 or 3 evenings with mowing and a little bit of landscaping? Because I would imagine, how are you balancing all that with school? I would imagine this time of year it's mid-July, so you guys are out of school. But how are you doing this in April and May?
Totally. So in April and May, so we mow about 20 yards a day on the weekend. So Saturday, Sunday, 20 each. That's 40. And then on Monday, we mow 10 yards. So during the school, though, if we got rain on a Saturday or Sunday, we would be pretty screwed. And that Monday, it was like, oh boy, how are we getting this done, right? So I would have my truck, and then I'd be like, hey, Dad, you out of town this weekend? Can I borrow your truck? And so I would use his truck, and then the other trailer, and we would just split 1 zero turn on each trailer and run 2 crews for the afternoons on Monday if we were in a pinch. So we had times where I was like, oh my gosh, I might skip school on Monday and just go mow all day, which is bad. But I was like, the money's good.
Yeah.
So I guess I had my priorities straight.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's funny, man. We get a big, broad audience listening to the show, and some people are like, hey, skip school. And other people are like, don't skip school. And I'm like, you know what? I always say, do good in school, graduate high school. That's the minimum. After that, I don't care what you guys do. But at the same time, I'm not saying, hey, skip your school on Tuesday and go make $800. But I'm also not saying that sometimes, but I'm just, make sure you guys are honoring and respecting your parents. Okay. If you skip school because I said so and your parents call me, like, that's not cool. Okay. So don't do that. All right. I'm not encouraging you guys to do anything like that. Wink. But any which way. So here's the thing. As we keep this whole story growing. So yeah, that's a lot to manage while you guys are in school, man. 40 or 50 lawns is no joke. And if you got 2 or 3 buddies, I mean, what happens if somebody calls off or somebody has, I don't know, baseball practice? Like, are you trying to like schedule these guys out, or is it like the same lawns every week? Cause that is a lot to manage between 50 lawns, 4 or 5 guys, your own life, family life, sports, recreation, all that other mess. How are you juggling it all? Is it tough sometimes?
It is tough sometimes. So I've been using this app on my phone called Crew.
Okay.
And with that app, I can schedule shifts and make them requestable and stuff. So if a guy can't work, I'll know 2-3 weeks in advance, right? So they all go on and they put their vacations in for the summer and everything, so I could see all that. And I actually learned that. I started working at Jersey Mike's when I was about 8th grade, freshman year, when I first started growing this. And since then, to be honest with you, I haven't worked in like the last year because I've been so busy.
Yeah.
But I would use that Crew app that I learned from Jersey Mike's and that they used, and it's so easy to schedule on there. Like, we have a group chat that's just for receipts. So if they're out mowing and they put gas in the truck and on the zero turns, they send that to the receipt chat, so it's all organized in there, right?
Okay.
So come tax season, I can go through all those and I can make sure I have all the write-offs in place.
Yep.
But
yep.
That Crew app has been helping me out a ton for scheduling work and scheduling guys. So if I can't get a guy, right, and it's 2-3 weeks down the road, I'll already know. So then by then I'll be like, I'll text my brother-in-law or I'll start texting people. I'm like, hey, you want to help me out?
Yep.
But it's been great.
That's awesome. So the Crew app, is that a free app or is that something people pay for, or?
Yeah, it's free up to a certain amount of employees like on the app. So once you reach a certain amount of people in the app, then you have to like start paying a monthly subscription in order to have more people on the app, right? So like next year I want to grow it a little bit more, so I'm going to have more employees, so I'm going to have to pay for that subscription.
Sure. Yeah, and that's pretty typical. Usually you get 3 or 4 users or 5 users or something with an app or a subscription, and then after that it's $9.95 per user after that or whatever, But that's really cool. I love hearing what you guys are doing out there, especially you young guys, because you're using technology like we've never seen before to streamline things, automate things, making sure everybody's on the same wavelength with communication. I mean, there's people that are messaging me all the time like, hey, we have a Discord chat going on with lawn care. Do you want to join? And I'm like, dude, I don't even know what Discord is, But of course, I'm an old fart, dude. I jump in the truck and Rob and Dom are like, dude, I was on Discord last night. And I'm like, what are you guys talking about, bro? Like, it's happening. I'm turning into old fart real time. But let me go back to something that you had said earlier. This was I want to maybe hear your mindset on this a little bit, Andrew. You said buying your first mower, zero-turn mower, really accelerated like the learning curve for you with maybe finances and running a business and, like you said, profitability and understanding your numbers. What do you mean by that? How did all that play out for you? And expand upon that a little bit for me.
Absolutely. So I have a very straightforward mindset on stuff. Like, it's either sink or I swim, right? I'm either going to work my tail off working 50, 60 hours a week if I have to, right, during the school, right? And I either get those yards done or I don't, right? You're either going to get them and you're going to do good work for the client. And because the client, like you said in a couple podcasts ago, you're like, the client does not care whether you have a doctor's appointment or whether your dog is dying on their deathbed, right? They're still going to expect you to be there.
It's true.
And that podcast, like, I was sending it to my crew lead and I was sending it to all the guys. I was like, this podcast is so good because you can go to business school, which is what I'm going for, but they don't teach you how to have work ethic and how to actually get the sales and the numbers that you want to get, because every industry is different. Yeah, they can teach you the different accounting stuff, principles, right, to run that business and all that type of stuff. But I mean, that's just stuff you figure out as you start growing, right? Like you said, you jump off the cliff and you got to build a plane before you hit the ground.
Yep.
It's like, it's either you fail or you do really well. So that's kind of my mindset on it. And buying that first piece of equipment, that zero turn, and financing it, right, at such a young age was kind of eye opening. It was like, oh boy, I kind of have to hit this amount of yards in order for me to break even and then some to be profitable, right? So that was a little tricky for me. So I would have my cousin work with me when that was about 2 years ago. At that point when I bought it. And my cousin would work with me, and I pay him, I believe, $10 an hour. Now I'm paying the guys about 17. So
Sure.
hourly,
Sure.
if they're a 2-man on a crew, it's about 34. But long story short, it just taught me a lot that I have to be profitable, and that if I don't hit this, then I just fail, right? And I don't put up with failure. I'm not going to sleep well at night if I do that, right?
Yeah, you're gonna get all fired up and charged up and like tear down the world the next day. You know what I mean? But I hear, you know, and that is the truth, man. I mean, it sounds like it put you out of what people call it a comfort zone. I don't know where that term ever came from, because you're not comfortable. You're familiar, you know. And so when you buy a new piece of equipment, you might stretch to get into it. Maybe you move into a different apartment or buy your first house and you're like, oh my God, I got this $1,600 a month mortgage or $1,200 a month mortgage. Like, oh my God, I'm freaking out. And it's not a comfort zone. It's what you were familiar with. You were comfortable and familiar with paying $850 a month for rent. And now you have a $1,400 a month mortgage. And you're like, how am I going to make this payment every month for 10, 20, 30 years? And it's the same thing when you buy that first mower. You're like, yeah, dude, we got the Toro 30-inch push mower that we got from Home Depot and it's keeping up. But dude, I got a $200 a month monthly payment now for this $9,000 mower or whatever you bought. And it stretches you. And you're like, dude, like real ramifications, right? If I don't mow, I don't have money to pay for this. Two things are going to happen. Somebody's going to come and take it with a tow truck. Or number two, my parents are going to kill me.
Exactly.
Because a lot of young guys are hustling out there, and you're like, you know, I get some people, Andrew, they're like, hey, my parents won't buy me a zero-turn mower, and I'm like, maybe because you haven't been making good quality decisions. For a couple months or a couple years. So why should they? Like you quit baseball, you quit the swim team, you quit whatever. You're quitting all the time. It doesn't mean you're a quitter. It just means you're quitting a bunch of things. So there's no pattern of why they should invest in you or believe in you. And so, by the way, you can convince your parents to be investors and help you with that first mower or sign on that mower for you. And you got to make those payments, but prove it, man. Like go get 10 lawns and go pay dues and go eat dirt and go roll that thing up and down your neighborhood for a couple of miles this way and a couple of miles that way. And your parents will want to believe in you after they see you putting in the work. I just think that's super important. And I like what you said earlier. It's about finishing strong, man, and developing that work ethic. And you're just not going to really get that kind of tough love in most high school or even college arenas. It's just they don't care. They don't care about your success. You might get it from a good football coach. You might get it from a good baseball coach because they're not going to tolerate you being average and mailing it in. But frankly, most of us aren't in those environments day to day. Andrew, let me ask you this. Compared to some of your peers, this is something that's always intriguing to me. You're 18 years old, you're kicking butt, making some money, just getting your world started. But explain to me like what the rest of your peer group is doing. What are they thinking? What's their priorities? What are they spending money on? And because it's just crazy to see the difference between somebody like yourself and a Christian from CNI Services versus other 16, 17, 18-year-olds doing, wasting their time, man. And I'm not saying don't be a kid, but they're just not investing in themselves and investing in their future. They're not listening to podcasts and good YouTube videos. What's the difference out there? What do you see with your peer group and your friend group and the guys working for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So most of the kids in high school going into college, my age group, right? All those kids, I'll be talking to them like, so how, like, Andrew, you're doing just fine. Like, how much you got saved up? I'm not going to tell them, right? But then they're like, I got like $0 in my bank account. And I'm like, how? It just like, it doesn't even make sense in my head.
Right.
Right. It's like, I can't even comprehend it. And growing up, back to that sports thing, my parents, when I started a sport, as much as I hated sports growing up, they made me finish it every time, every season. Yep. If I started it, you're finishing it, Andrew, right? And that taught me a lot as well. And if you're going to commit to something, you're going to commit, right? And you're just going to have to figure it out and figure out how to balance it. But my peers and stuff, everyone looks at me like I'm crazy because when they're out drinking, partying, doing fun, stupid things, right? One might say, I'm working and putting the hours in to grow my business and put back into myself, right? And invest in myself and not other things that are going to hurt me in the long run.
Amen. Amen. And you know what? And that's the cool thing. And right now you're building that foundation at 16, 17, 18 years old. And whether you go to college or don't, or if you do both, you can still run both, the company and of course, still attend classes and all that other stuff. But now you have the ability to continue to grow this company and let's say you do graduate at 21, 22, 23, 24 years old, whatever, and you can have a 6-figure business that you've been running with you and a couple buddies, have no college debt because you were able to pay your own way, and then come out with a 6-figure income and just literally, dude, at 22 years old, making $100,000 a year, you probably already have 50 grand in the bank, by then. And most of your peers are going to come out with 50, 80, 100 grand in student loan debt. They're going to go finance their first little, BMW 3 Series for $40,000 and have a, $700 a month payment. And you're paying cash for things. You're building equity. You're crushing with cash flow. By 25, you can start making investments into rental property or whatever you want to get into. And they're 25 years old with 80 grand in student loan debt, a $700 a month car payment, and they're going to drown for the next 20 years. And people are like, what do you think about college? And I'm like, well, one, there you go. But number two, like the polarity of I love talking to you young guys because you can set up yourself for success at 18, 19, 20, 21 years old. Live at home, live on, Chipotle at best, and reinvest everything you can into your company. And Andrew, I mean, you're literally doing that right before our eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's funny you say that. Part of me, half of me doesn't even want to go to college, but the only reason I'm going is to get the piece of paper, right?
Sure.
It's something for me to fall back on, even though, in the next 2 years, 3 years, I probably will be doing over 6 figures, especially because I want to buy 3 more trucks for next season. And then get a ramp rack for one of them and wrap it with Golderman lawn care. And that'll be my main truck. So I just park it right on campus, right?
There you go.
And I'm realizing housing just at school is going to be $12,000 a year. And I'm like, okay, at 4 years, I'm better off to go, if I had the cash flow in order to go buy a lot in town, right? Because you can't get a loan on a property without a structure on it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my issue, right? If I had that $40,000, $60,000 to go buy a lot, build on it, I totally would. So that's been my next focus is kind of getting those 3 trucks. And then from next year, after that, going into sophomore year, be able to buy a piece of land and put a building on it, almost like a barndominium, and live out of my shop. Because I'm like, why would I spend all this money into college at $12,000 a year, not even including the meal plan or anything, right? When I can reinvest back into myself and my own business and grow this, and I can live at the shop and I can be there day to day if I get full-time guys by that time. Right. So
right.
It just doesn't make sense to me how some people think, I guess.
No, dude, and that's exactly it, man. I mean, you're already on it with putting all this together, building your foundation. I love the idea of like a barn dominium or a shop build. And you can buy some land, some rural 2 acres for 10, 20, 30 grand and build a barn dominium on that. It's, you can spend 150 grand. You can spend 800 grand if you want. There's a guy I follow on Instagram, or not Instagram, on YouTube. It's like Create 308 or something like that, or 308 Create. I forget what it is. It's a young guy, and he's I think in the trades, and he built this awesome like barn dominium in this like mountainous area. I don't know where he's located, but YouTube promoted it to me on the algorithm and all that mess. And but the kid's like 23 years old, 25 years old, just built like a $400,000 barn dominium house. I mean, why not? And you know what? He's doing it all just with cash and cash flow in this whole thing. I mean, that's the way to do it. And he's trading favors with all of his other, buddies in the trades, from, electrical to HVAC and all that other stuff. And they're just, he's paying the labor and covering the material cost. How cool is that? So
yeah.
Let me do this really quick. Let's shift gears. I got about 5 or 6 minutes left that I got some time with you for now on the podcast, but I want to talk about equipment, because all this work that you guys are doing, it's got to get done with some type of machinery out there. So what are you guys rocking and rolling for mowers, trucks, trailers? I know it's been a while since we've nerded out on equipment on the YouTube channel or on the podcast, but what are you rocking for equipment and mowers these days over there in Iowa?
Absolutely. So right now I got 2 zero turns and a push mower. So the push mower is a 30-inch, I believe, a Toro Time Master, and I actually got that for free. That's a whole other story in itself.
Oh, cool.
And the Toro Titan is a 60-inch, and then I have a Toro 2000 series that is a 60-inch as well. And then I have a 12-foot trailer, and then I believe a 16-foot trailer. It's either 16 or 18-foot.
Okay.
I'm not actually quite sure, because I have a storage unit here in town. It's 1,000 square feet. I keep 2 trailers in there, some mulch and an aerator, right? And that's where I house all the equipment. But I've been using a Honda Ridgeline. It's a 2008, I believe. It's pretty old. It's got a ton of miles on it. It's probably 200,000 miles on it. But I got car magnets go on the side of it to make it look a little more professional, because I don't want to be that guy showing up in the rusty truck, to be honest with you. I'm trying to grow something.
200,000 miles on a Honda is like brand new, by the way, so don't sweat that, you know?
Yeah, the Honda engines, they'll last forever. It's the car itself that'll go downhill.
That's right. I've got buddies that have the little 1999 Accords, the square body ones, and dude, they have 300,000 miles on them. They still run, I swear to God. And it's funny when some Uber driver picks you up in one, you're like, dude, really? Like, he's like, yo, my insurance is $12 a month for this thing, you know? So that's funny. So you have a Toro, what was it, a 2000 series, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. What and how do you like that, by the way? Because the new Toros are super nice. The 2000 series, the 4000 series. I was talking to a buddy of mine, David Varley. He's got a 4000 series. So how do you like that 2000?
Oh, I love the 2000. It's been a great machine for me, and it definitely lays down some stripes over here in Iowa. But my biggest regret is I wish, honestly, even though it would have been more risk, I wish I would have bought a stand-on and a smaller one, like a 30-inch, to get in back of gates. Because I'm discovering I'm getting a lot of clients that have gated properties, and I'm like, I got to put a push mower back there, a guy back there, and I'm going to zero turn the front weed whack, right? And we usually do about 2 properties an hour, and I'm just trying to build the route density a little bit better, right? And get 3-4 properties in one court.
Sure.
I'm starting to wish that I got the 30-inch stand-on instead, because then I could just send it right back into the back and we'd be done so much faster. Well, that was my biggest regret.
Any chance you can find one of those like used or on Facebook or Craigslist, like one that's a couple years old and a couple 100 hours on it, and get it for $5,000 or something?
Yeah, totally. I've been looking. I saw one in Wisconsin, and I was tempted to drive up, but then I had graduation that weekend for high school, so I was like, all right, that's not going to work.
Sure.
But I'm also discovering running 2 zero turns on a crew, it's not as profitable as I thought. Like, I thought, okay, in the beginning of this, I'm going to have 2 zero turns, and we're both going to mow, we're both going to weed whack, and then someone's going to blow, and I'm going to bill, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, whatnot. And I thought, okay, that's going to cut the time down so much faster. And it really has not, unless you have huge HOAs with large 2-3 acres, right, of just open mowing. And that's why this next couple of years, it's opened my eyes to get more crews. That's the way to get more profitable. Have 1 zero turn per crew with a push mower, right, and 2 guys.
Yep.
And that's the key. And I did not know that going into this year. So I ended up getting the big trailer and everything. But eventually I want to switch to ramp racks and just trucks. Because I discovered this year, I had a guy, the crew lead, he hit a truck while driving, and that opened my eyes. Like, okay, I got high schoolers, college kids driving, right?
Yeah.
The commercial auto, everything through the roof. It's like on a high schooler's insurance. It's not even funny. So
I know how that goes.
About that. So I was like, if I can get a ramp rack, you can get a 50-inch zero turn of bed of a truck if it's wide enough, and you can find those used for, I don't know, $10,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if I could get those, and then that would remove so much liability within my company. I'd be able to grow it so much more faster.
Well, dude, I mean,
because
I was gonna say, look at those
less storage.
Yeah,
it's like it just adds up.
Well, look at those like Isuzus, like Corey Ballard has with Perfect Cut. I mean, they I think that's the way to go, man. If I was going to build the next $5-10 million company, I would 100% go with Isuzus, and then I'd put front end loaders and skid steers on site with push boxes. It's just that's exactly what I would do. I mean, and Corey and those guys, I don't know. I think they got it going on with those Isuzus, man. And if you can't drop 40-50 grand on those, a ramp rack on a I don't know, like an XL 2-wheel drive F250, F350 chassis, you know, with 100,000 miles on it, that could be just fine for you as well. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, that is what I'm thinking. It would work out so much better because then I could relieve on storage and overhead. And I've been watching a lot of Mike Andy's videos on the next couple of years on the economy, right? And he's like, cash is king and the service businesses are going to come out on top if you can survive, right? And like he said, 40% of service businesses in the next 2 years are going to fail, which is pretty fascinating, right? And it's taught me like, yeah, I'm ready to grow, but is the economy ready to grow and other people, right? Because that's one thing that's been worrying me the last couple of this last year, right? Is I want to make that investment. I want to make that next jump because right now I'm in between like the intermediate stage of like doing, 60, 80K to like 120, up in the 100 range.
Sure.
And it's like I'm almost at the point where it's like, yeah, I'm profitable and I'm doing just fine, right, as a high schooler. But I know, like, if I just take that extra jump, I'm going to be that much more ahead.
Dude, that's awesome, man. Well, and if, like you said, if you can find some of those 30s as well, or 32s, 33s, 36s, whatever the brand. I was just talking to Ted with TD's Lawn Care. He's down in Georgia. He's got he just bought a Intensity 36, I think it is, and loves that thing. And I always say the Toros, the Skags, I think Ferris has got a small, like a Z1 or whatever they call it, and then the Wright. Those are some great 36-inch gated backyards, and they'll last forever. And if you want to sell it and flip it, the resale value is like 80% on the dollar. So like it's actually pretty solid. So like you said, work out a couple of those efficiencies and small bottlenecks, and dude, you're going to be off to the races like you already are, man. So good for you. Well, that's what I kind of got time for right now, my friend. I got to button this thing up here. I got to get running here. I got another call here at 7:00. But really quick, anything that you want to leave these guys while we got you on the show? I'm telling you what, in all sincerity, I love talking to you young guys. You guys are always excited. You're always like slaying it. No excuses. Hair on fire, just putting this thing together. And so I love talking to you guys. I talk to 30-year-olds and like, hey man, things are slow. My knees hurt. And I'm like, dude, come on, bro. Like get in the game. So, so really quick, anything you want to leave these guys while we got you on the show and on your episode, man?
Absolutely. So if there's one thing that I've taken away from the last 4 years is that no one's going to do it for you, right? You just got to put your head down and you got to work. And, nothing's handed to you, and you just got to put your head down, like I said. And like you said, I've noticed like people at Jersey Mike's, the older people, they don't work as hard as the high schoolers do.
Right.
The high schoolers and like the workers that I've got on, I've taught them to work like they want to become owners and not like it's just a high school part-time job. And if you could do that within your business, you're going to be set.
Dude, that's solid, man. That's a solid nugget right there. I wrote that down. I think that's going to be the title of the podcast. Nobody's going to do it for you, That's solid stuff, man. Well, good for you. By the way, do you happen to, selfishly, a quick question, do you know what the first video you watched on our YouTube channel was, or what got promoted to you? I always forget to ask people.
Yeah, totally. So, oh gosh, I got to think back. So I think it was with you and CNI Services out of Chicago.
Yeah.
Because I was always into like you posting those younger guys and like seeing how they're doing, right?
Yep.
And that always like excited me. And I would watch those videos, and then it just kind of grew from there. And honestly, I learned a lot from you, from marketing and everywhere, from all that stuff. And that's where it started, is that video on CNI Services.
Dude, I love it. Well, we're actually doing a Launchpreneur series right now. We got 6 young guns that I'm interviewing across the state and across the country. Excuse me. And I love, like I said, getting in front of those guys and learning from them. And they're the future of the green industry, man. They're the future in this this whole industry. And so I have a whole playlist that we're putting together. If you guys are watching on YouTube real time on Monday, we've been dropping those episodes on both the podcast and on YouTube. And if I can get over there to Iowa and Illinois, and I don't know, I could go across the country. There's probably 100 of you that I know off the top of my head that I could interview, just like yourself, Andrew, and hear your guys' whole startup story. So next time I'm cruising through, what is it, Davenport, Iowa?
Yes, it is.
I'll have to come out, hang out. We'll go get some Buffalo Wild Wings, and we'll do a trailer setup video. What do you think?
I would love that. That'd be wonderful.
Amen to that, bud. All right, well, cool deal, man. Well, really quick, we'll sign off here. Where can people follow you if you're on Instagram or Facebook or whatnot? Where can people find you? And then we'll button this thing up.
Absolutely. So on my Instagram, it is Golderman Lawn Co. So it's spelled GOLDERMANN and then Lawn CO. And then on Facebook, it's just Golderman Lawn Care.
Golderman Lawn Care. Awesome, man. And are you active on Instagram? Can people reach out to you if they want to say hey?
Yes, I am. I'm active on Instagram. We have a Google page as well, so you can reach me on any of those platforms.
Awesome, brother. Cool deal. Well, we appreciate that, and thanks for helping build this community, man. And if you guys enjoy this episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast, send us some love, man. Can you guys hit the 5-star rating and review? Leave us a couple sentences. Let us know how we are doing. We always appreciate that feedback. And again, if you guys are regular listeners to the show, thank you so much for listening in and coming back every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And if you guys are new, don't forget to hit the plus sign on the top right corner. That is the follow button. So you get subscribed to the podcast and you get notified every time there is a new podcast episode that we drop Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It's already on your phone, 7 a.m. So when you guys are out there popping the blades on for the mower and hitting your first property, you got something exciting to listen to keep you guys motivated out there. So, all right. Well, guys, that's what we got for today's show. We appreciate you listening in, and we look forward to catching up with you guys here on the next one.
Summer showers, dust that chokes, acres that just won't end. Exmark knows the job of a landscape professional isn't an easy one. That's why we've crafted a legendary line of mowers built to overcome any obstacle. So you're ready to close the deal and finish the job, like you always do. Cut from the same red metal as your Exmark mower, you aren't just good at this. You were built for this.
Lawn
Entrepreneur Academy Live is back and better than ever. LAL 22 Live. Saturday, November 12th in Novi, Michigan. Join 400 fellow entrepreneurs and learn from some of the best in the industry at this powerful conference that will help you grow your business. Speakers include James Mansky, Mike Andes, Paver Pete, Troy Clogg, Nick Carlson, and Mark Bradley of LMN, just to name a few. Get your ticket now for the early bird price of $197. The price goes up the end of September. Your ticket covers access to the conference, lunch on Saturday, and free admission to the Friday night go-kart races. It's going to be so much fun. We'll see you in Novi, Michigan, Saturday, November 12th. LAL 22 Live. Sponsored by Xmark, Ballard Products, Shore Track, Kelly & Sons Trailers, and Yard Book. Grab your ticket now at l'entrepreneuracademy.com.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.